And welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. The 4 words I've been waiting to say. Sealer it on up. Miami Dolphins coming to an extension with their star defensive lineman, Zack Sieler, getting the bag as he agrees to a 3-year extension with the Miami Dolphins, $67.75 million. 44 that guaranteed. Zack Sieler is officially locked up for the Miami Dolphins. And the last piece of drama that was really hovering over a team that had plenty of it this offseason. There's no doubt about that with the Jalen Ramsey stuff. What was the future going to hold for Tyreek Hill? Everybody who's on the hot seat, everybody who's worrying about the future, all that stuff. One guy did truly earn this. And you know, you had to wonder with everybody else playing Fat Cat last year, getting their big paydays, you had to wonder with Stephen Ross feeling a little bit squeamish about paying anybody else. And you understand why. That, you know, the Dolphins did not go big game hunting in the offseason. They did not restructure Tua's contract. They did not do, you know, the all-in moves, maybe one last ride for this Mike McDaniel build. No. They tightened the purse strings a little bit. They sent Jalen Ramsey packing. They sent Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers because he wanted a new deal. And you had to wonder on some regard, like, you know, were the Dolphins going to do the same thing with Zack Sieler? Maybe not let him go, but would they make him play it out? And I think the thing that, I don't know if it was a sign that talks were going good or if it's just who Zack Sieler is, but Zack Sieler did not go about this outside of some voluntary OTAs, did not hold out, did not make a stink, did not hold out, did not hold in, because Zack Sieler's a man, and his word is oak. And a man's as good as his handshake. And if you shake Zack Sieler's hand, you better look him in the eye and know I'm going to show him play some football. Zack Sieler is really, truly like one of the great stories in the NFL. I mean, to see a guy, first of all, Division II player from Ferris State in the who knows where of Michigan, to then, you know, go from being a waived player with the Baltimore Ravens to being with the Dolphins and living in a friggin' trailer, you know, to then getting a nice deal and solidifying himself a little bit, but then going from solidified to truly one of the game's elite. And I think a lot of people had to wonder, is like, hey, is this guy that good? Is he just a product of playing next to an incredible player like Christian Wilkins? And, you know, you could probably put their numbers up against each other and they were best of friends and nobody ever wanted to divide them. But, you know, in a way, the Christian Wilkins negotiations going sour was a path to one way leading to Zack Sieler and where things are. Now, whatever's going on with Christian Wilkins aside, which I do think there's a lot of, you know, smearing going on by the Vegas Raiders to try and make something inexplicable look explicable, explainable. And that's probably why we're at. But, you know, Sieler, I really was like, man, I hope that this guy gets his dough. Because for the guys who make a stink and are going through it and don't get paid and seem to get paid every single time. And, you know, fans do get tired of that. That's for sure. And the NFL's ruthless. I don't really blame players. And I do think fans have gotten a lot more tolerant of it, knowing what these guys put their bodies through, how bullshit the contracts are anyway. I do feel in some way that a lot of fans do root for these guys to get paid. You know, with moves like that, you're just like, all right, this guy, he definitely earned it. He plays a menacing position. You know, at the age that he's at, this may be the last chance he gets at a real big payday. And so you're happy about that. And I give props once again to the Dolphins front office for getting this one done and putting the drama aside. And just this happened to a guy who, like, yeah, he is a leader of your team. I mean, you heard from Kenneth Grant, Kenny G, that, you know, he's learning a lot from Sieler. You really have, I mean, you want to talk about thin positions and who you can go. You really have nobody else to turn to. And who's been all reliable year in and year out, but it's been Zack Sieler, only guy from his position to have double-digit sacks back-to-back years. I mean, that's menacing. And then after, I saw this week that, the Broncos went about and they signed their defensive lineman, and I was like, oh, dude, come on. We're not gonna see another guy go off the board here, and the Dolphins are just gonna be sitting by and allowing Zack Sieler to go out here and not get paid. Like, is this what's actually gonna happen here? Just all these guys are gonna get taken care of it. Now, obviously, it's not the big story because everybody's talking about Micah Parsons and everything that's going on with him and the craziness that's going on with Jerry Jones, and I get it. But, when you got to the point where I think it was Zach Allen got the deal from the Broncos, I was like, man, we're not going to go and we're not going to take care of Zack Sieler. The other Zach's going to get taken care of. I was just nervous about it. I was a little bit nervous about it, but nervous no more. I now get to go in front of my couch for the next few years, and every time he pulls off a big play, go, Sieler it on up. I'm just happy for him, man. I'm happy for it. It seems like that's a good dude who worked his ass off to get there. Doesn't curse, instead of calling quarterbacks a bunch of bitches, he calls them yeller. If they cower in fear, he goes and he looks at Josh Allen and goes, "You yeller." Because Zack Sieler's, I don't know why Zack Sieler. I do wonder why Zack Sieler has turned into a cowboy. I have noticed that's become a thing since he's been here. I don't know if he's hanging around Davey too much or whatnot. But like, you have seen this man, and he's going to like rodeos and bull riding, and you're seeing the cowboy hat after games, and you're just like, that's Zack Sieler. Strolls on in, wrangles up varmints, critters, and quarterbacks. That's Zack Sieler. Did you guys see, by the way, Zach Allen? You remember Zach Allen, the former defensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings? Zach Allen. Jared Allen, right? Jared Allen? Zach Allen is the guy who just signed with the Broncos. Jared Allen, former Broncos, wore 69, just went in the Hall of Fame. And did you see that his famous celebration was he hogtied. He hogtied and he roped up a cattle. And he tried to do that while getting his jacket, and instead he ripped his pants. Because he's not used to that. When you're a cowboy, you wear jeans, you wear Wranglers, Levi's. But unfortunately, he was wearing nice pants, and they were not able to hold up. I feel like if Zack Sieler makes the Hall of Fame, he's showing up in camo pants. That's the way it goes. That's just how it is for Zack Sieler. But man, absolutely thrilled that this got done for him. And the Dolphins feel like they got the heartbeat of their team now, right? Like, they have on their offensive side, their identity is Tua, it's Tyreek, it's Waddle. Maybe it's becoming Patrick Paul before our very eyes. But on the defensive side, like, it's for sure Zack Sieler, and now it feels like Minkah Fitzpatrick, and both those guys, Drew Rosenhaus guys. He is a bit of he does remain undefeated as the shadow GM of the Miami Dolphins. But Drew Rosenhaus gets another dude paid, and it does feel like now the defense is all Zack Sieler, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then we'll see which young guys kind of follow him like the Pied Piper. That's what the next step of it all is. But you had to wonder, like, he pays Tua, he pays Waddle, he pays Tyreek Hill. Was there going to be any part of Stephen Ross who was going to be a little bit squeamish about paying Zack Sieler? And he wasn't. He took care of him. So that was good news. The Dolphins get their star defensive lineman paid. He can now go buy out Bass Pro Shop. He can buy the finest RV and cattle and horses that a defensive lineman sheriff wants to buy. So congratulations to Zack Sieler. Happy for him. As an OG Zack Sieler fan, I feel like I was on the bandwagon a lot earlier than others, but that's okay. There's always room on the Zack Sieler. It's not even a bandwagon. It is an actual RV, but it's wrapped in camo. And, it's gotten a lot more fans, which is great. And it's great to see that he gets taken care of.